everyone. Welcome to today's segment right here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse. I am your show host, Megan Young Gamble, Chief Project Officer at GLC, Packaging and Project Execution Team for Health, Beauty, Wellness Brands, and also the curator of this podcast. And so, if this is your first time rocking with me, welcome to the house. And if you are a returning listener and viewer on our respective platforms, welcome back to the house. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to be here in front of you all to kick off the new year 2025 and also to highlight some things that you're expected to see, plus some life transitions for me as well as we navigate this new year. And so, to go ahead and kick it off, one of the things I would like to share with you all is, reflecting over the journey of the product and packaging powerhouse. There have been a lot of lessons I've learned as I am tackling building out a separate division of my respective company, GLC, which is incorporating the media division, which is part of the podcast. And so as part of that, I shared, some of the reflections I've had of starting the podcast. I've also shared, moments of transparency, and highlighting, the team behind the podcast and things of that sort, because this is not just me doing this solo, to be honest. So there are some supporting team members that are helping me to curate this experience for you all. And there are different things that I've learned since I've started the podcast as well. So I'll link those down in the show notes for you all. But as we're kicking off 2025, here is what we're going to be talking about in this segment. So first and foremost, some important transitions we are making, that will impact the podcast as well as our respective business. Secondly, we are going to be highlighting some of the top trends we are seeing respectfully in the beauty and the packaging space, because these are some important details that we must know as we're starting to think about the efforts and the work and communications around these elements and the trends, and also how we speak directly with suppliers and vendors and manufacturers. So a lot of things encompass. So let's go ahead and kick it off for today. So as I mentioned, we are going through some transitions. And one of the things that I had the honor to participate in 2024 was the Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women program, where Goldman Sachs is investing into Black-owned, female-run businesses to help ensure that they have a lot of things in place as they are operating as the CEOs of the companies. So as part of that, I crafted my action plan thanks to some of the feedback and refined a lot of things. And so for my actual company, GLC, Packaging and Project Execution Team, one of the things that has been truly redefined is the actual objective of the company. So previously, it was very similar to what the new objective is. But previously, I want to share, how the objective was previously, we just want to be the leading go-to service provider. And so as part of that, that's where we've really had to refine some of those elements and such, and just be a little bit more crystal clear in reference of what that means and how the type of clients we interact with and the type of vendors we, recommend to our company clients that we work with, et cetera. And so as part of that, instead of going from just, we want to be the go-to firm for health, beauty, wellness brands, we have a new objective. And so that is, we will become the leading beauty operations firm that is accelerating prestige and sustainable products and packaging to the markets in the USA, Canada, and Latin America by 2026. And that is a very aggressive goal, right? And it's something bold with me actually being transparent and authentic and putting it out there, because I'll talk about a second transition here in a moment, but it's something that's big. It's a very audacious goal. And in order to make sure that the efforts that myself and the supporting team members and also subject matter experts, that are working alongside of me for these efforts make sense, I have to make sure that I'm putting it out there and being unapologetic about it. And so, it is scary to put it out there, but change doesn't come by being comfortable, right? So, it's a way of getting out there and really showcasing how we want to be the leading operations firm and what is our focus, and also how that aligns with the clients and the customers that we service as well. So it's a big goal, but I'm really excited about it, and a lot of things in store. And me and my team are diligently working on some things too. And that correlates to this podcast, with the subject matter that we're discussing with, subject matter experts and the powerhouses, as I call them, as we highlight what is happening in the industry, from the various business sectors. And so a lot of the things that we've been talking about here on the podcast is relevant and really aligns with this redefined objective and vision for my company. So I'm putting it out there. So y'all hold me accountable. And if you do have a brand that that would be fitting for us to work with and support, on product development, packaging development, and project management support, and even training and development, please make sure you click the links down below so you can schedule a one-on-one call with me. As well, we do have a referral program in place. So, I always like to say thank you. I'm from the South, so it's like the Southern hospitality, that I want to make sure that I share with everybody as well. So, as part of this major transition that I mentioned for our redefined goal, the second transition is I am onboarding a new team member, which is Baby Gamble. So I will be welcoming Baby Girl to the GLC and the Product and Packaging Powerhouse team in March of 2025. So at the time of this recording, that is literally right around the corner. And one of the things that I have learned as I am transitioning into motherhood, because this is my first child, and, I've always heard it, but I could not really understand it at that time because I was not a parent or transitioning into parenthood or motherhood. But one of the things that I'm realizing much early in this transition and in this stage is to be agile and to definitely be adaptable, more adaptable in these cases. And, I talk about some of these elements from a project management standpoint and how this correlates over into, the work and efforts I put in for the clients we work with. However, now more so important because depending upon how I'm feeling, Baby girl may say, Mama, we ain't feeling it right now. And some of the things I may have planned, I have to push through. But then in some cases, I have to take a step back and adapt to how I'm feeling and recognize that as well. So, but then it also requires me to be more agile in my approach and, how I time blocked previously to, experiencing this growth of my child and growth of myself is now a different type of agility practices that are being incorporated. But thank goodness I'm a project manager and also study agile methodologies, scrum methodologies, Kanban, all the things, right? So it's really helped equip my toolkit for me to apply within my own personal life. So a lot of things and such. And if you're looking at my background, I was like, you know what? I need to change the background and such. If you're viewing this through the video platform, like our YouTube channels, etc. I was really like, I need to take out all the background. But I said, you know what? We're in transition. My house is in transition, preparing for baby girl. My house flooded and my house is still getting back to order from when my house flooded. So things that you may see, it is what it is. Okay. So, and I think that's just the element in recognizing certain things in the time frame, to not be so regimented in the approach and just like, you know what, it is what it is. And I'm sure a lot of y'all parents out there, you like, listen, my house a mess. I may have one little corner that may look halfway decent, or you're going to see all the mess in the background, or I'm not put together. Moms, the hair is in a bun. You may have just thrown on a jacket just to look quote unquote presentable. I get it now. So extend me some grace if you're watching the video format. But it just also shows that I'm human too. I have boxes in the corner that's being broken down from packages. I have pictures and stuff like that in one other corner. I don't have nothing on my walls because my walls were cut out and they're now back in place. And I just have not put it back up. Life is life for everybody, so as part of that, definitely being flexible and such, and so as part of that second transition of me bringing on a new team member, as well as that big audacious goal that I mentioned to y'all, there's a lot of transitioning happening. And, a lot of times, people will be like, well, how did you do it before? And in this season of transparency and also growth and evolution, to be honest, I'm just taking it day by day. And I'm also recognizing to appreciate the journey as I go, because things are not going to be what it was. And my time is definitely more precious now. And some things I have to trade off. And I'm recognizing that now. And I'm sure it will even be more prevalent when my baby girl is here. So, but I think it also displays, and it's going to be representative to her, to show how mom is still working and still being attentive and being available, for her needs and such, and that flexibility and adaptability and understanding the trade-offs, things of that sort. And also with me and my husband both being entrepreneurs with two full-time household businesses, we gonna see how this goes. But as part of that, it's something that's really, I'm really excited about. And it also correlates to something, it will also help with the growth of this podcast, to be honest, different perspectives and such. So I'm really excited about these two major transitions that I mentioned to you all. And I hope you continue to follow along for this journey as well. Okay, listeners and viewers. So, for now, we are going to talk about some 2025 trends. And these trends that I'm going to be highlighting on this segment, well, the trend that we're going to be talking about respectfully for this segment is really highlighting around some of the 2025 trends that we're seeing respectfully in the packaging space. And so, as you all know, I've been working in the packaging industry for quite some time. You can check out the prior episode where I talk about my detour to destination journey into the packaging industry and more. But for this, I've seen the industry evolve, considering I've been in the space for 10 years and such, and start off as a project manager, still a project manager and consultant through my company. But we're seeing the packaging industry evolve, from the regulations to certain materials that are being utilized to the technology and such, So check out some of the interviews I've done with the prior guests where we talk about like connected packaging, the circular economy. We have some new podcasts coming up, that's talking about some of the packaging technology and incorporation around sustainability. We're seeing a lot of things shift and rapidly evolve in the packaging industry. And that's because a lot of it is driven based upon various facets, to be honest. Some of it is driven from the consumer lens, where they are being more intentional in reference of the type of packaging and the type of brands that they're investing into. So looking at the brand's core values and missions, seeing, what sustainability efforts they are incorporating, to retailer requirements. All retailers do not have the same requirements, and they all have different type of sustainability initiatives, to looking at the infrastructure for recycling, to how to become more efficient and boost operational efficiency, through technology, to the regulations with packaging EPR, extended producer responsibility, SB 54 in California, to looking at ESG goals. Like, there is a lot of stuff happening. And then now with this new 2025 US administration, presidential administration coming into play, the conversations around tariffs and what that means and how they can impact your bottom line. Like, there's so much happening and such, in reference to the packaging industry. But one thing I want to notate too, before we look at these top 5 trends that we're going to talk about respectfully for the packaging industry, is a lot of people, especially influencers, who have been leveraging social media like TikTok, have been leveraging some TikTok for social media in a way for them to earn a paycheck. In the US, we are having conversations around TikTok ban. And so this is something that we're going to be following very closely, because one, this can impact some influencers who are doing unboxings and have different collaborations and PR efforts and such with different companies. That can impact their pay, to how different companies advertise themselves. So when you think about all the companies that are positioning themselves on TikTok, That could be another modality that's pulled, and they have to change and revise their strategy. To even some people that I personally know in the packaging space that have their own TikTok page, so there's a lot of things happening rapidly, and so TikTok and the potential ban here in the US is a conversation and one of the things that we're heavily looking at. So we would definitely keep you abreast of, more things that will come once we gather more insight and kind of see where the initial meeting that happened on January 10th, where that's going to lead us to and what that means for next steps. But let's go ahead and get into some of the top 5 trends that are shaping the future of packaging in 2025. So the first one. So we've always been talking about sustainability and the circular economy and the impact of it, right? And I've even done an interview with Julia Wilsey where we talk about, the circular economy and the impact of that as well. So that episode will be linked for you all down in the show notes. But continuing on in 2025, we are going to be seeing the circular packaging revolution. So meaning, refillable beauty stations are going to continue to be the redefining convenience method for a lot of companies and a lot of brands that are out here, because consumers, they say 78% of consumers actually invest into a brand and think about purchasing from a brand based upon their sustainability efforts, which aligns with the circular economy. So as part of that, brands are looking for refillable options and see what that means to help reduce waste that we're looking at. So as part of that, the circular packaging revolution and the circular economy is really still in its infancy stage. And one of the resources that I highly recommend everybody to review is from the US Plastics Pact. They have a 2.0 roadmap that they outline, and it's very good. It's like 30 something plus pages, but it's very involved to talk about not only what the organization is doing, but also what we're starting to see in reference of the communications around sustainability, the circular economy, especially around plastics. A lot of people have the misconception that all plastics are bad. That is not my agree. That's not my approach. We can agree to disagree. But if you disagree, I would love for you to come be a guest on the podcast so we can talk about it and, have the dialogue and stuff like that. But I believe all plastic is not bad, and you still need plastic for a lot of things. However, the infrastructure for recycling the plastic and how we're procuring the plastic and the life cycle analysis, to use that to help drive decision making, mentioned by Michael Houston, Dustin Smith on my podcast. So those are things that we have to really be mindful of and think about. But the circular economy is still evolving, and it's something that we have to continuously assess because we're looking at technology, we're looking at accessibility, we're looking at infrastructure, and at the end of the day, also we're looking at materials, but at the end of the day, we're also looking at the impact that it has on our environment. So then leading to the second trend of 2025 for the future of packaging, it's smart packaging is taking the spotlight. So when we say smart packaging, a lot of people think that is just the utilization of QR codes. And that's one element. And we've adapted to the culture of using and incorporating QR codes into everything that we've done, especially since COVID. When COVID, we had to use QR codes for scanning the menus, ordering food, social distancing, things of that sort. So that is still being heavily utilized into the industry. But now with smart packaging, we're looking at how we can blend physical and digital elements. So whether that's augmented realities being more heavily incorporated, NFTs, blockchain, so track and trace, where I talk about that episode of connected packaging with Maurizio Carano and John Dwyer. So that link is down in the show notes for you all too. But one thing that we're starting to see, with more smart packaging being utilized, it's heavily being utilized more so in the food and beverage and the healthcare or pharma space. And with smart packaging in the US, we're going to be seeing some substantial growth. So we're expected to reach almost $32 billion by 2029, which is growing at a compound annual growth rate of 7%. And this is significant growth that we're seeing as well. So we still have to be mindful of some of the regulations around it, the industries, things of that sort. But we are going to see more utilization and incorporation of smart packaging. So then leading to trend number 3, which is sustainability as a standard. So I mentioned sustainability as part of trend number 1 with the circular economy and sustainable packaging. But some of the things that we're starting to look at around sustainability are some of the materials. How are we making sure that we're not greenwashing, around some of the materials, as well as not greenwashing around sustainability, because there's a lot of fluff out there and a lot of people overinflating, that's what I'm gonna say it, overinflating, some of their sustainability efforts and such. But that comes to not having education, or simply they just don't, some brands just don't want to change. But as part of that, one of the things I always tell my clients is, first, what does sustainability mean to you and your brand? Okay. And what is the impact that it's going to make on your end user? So I always ask that of the brands I work with. And if they are not able to articulate that, then I tell them go back to the drawing board, because sustainability means everything, and the approach and what it means for the brands and the impact, drives everything that we do at GLC, Packaging and Project Execution Team, for beauty brands and CPG brands. That drives a lot of pretty much everything we do, from how we lead the effort. So we have our own sustainability roadmap within my company, to the type of manufacturers and suppliers, vendors, and partners we thinking about, to not only looking at the packaging, but also looking at and partnering with the right contract manufacturers or chemists who are thinking about sustainability, and also the company's position, So we're looking at sustainability from a 360-degree perspective. And I do not know everything, but I bring my experts and partners to the table so we can be very collaborative in the approach if the brand understands what sustainability means. So as part of that, sustainability is the standard. It is not something that is a nice to have, like it was probably about 10 to 15 years ago, but it's the standard. And so now looking at, the type of materials we're utilizing, like for plastics, can we utilize more plastics that contain more post-consumer recycled content, PCR, or recycled plastics? Are you okay with the tint of the plastic not being 100% clear and it has more of a darker hue to the plastic? What are some eco-friendly materials we can consider, with recycled paper? What about, different sustainable inks for printing? So thinking about those things is something that is a standard, and that's something that we've looked at and assessed previously. However, now in 2025 and beyond, especially with new regulations like extended producer responsibility, et cetera, these things are going to continue. And these are the conversations that we in the industry are constantly having. And we have to stay a student. I stay a student in this industry because there's so much changing. And even around sustainability from a packaging standpoint, and I hinted a little bit about the product standpoint for sustainability, but even as a project manager, I have to be mindful of sustainability for the work and the efforts, with leading projects and programs and portfolios. With me operating a company, I a lot of times am managing portfolios of beauty brands and, assessing what are sustainable approaches as we're considering different products launching to market. So I even have to think about sustainability from a project management standpoint. So sustainability is the standard, not just for packaging and the ingredients, that create the product, but also in the work, in the ways we work from a project management standpoint, which is the foundation of my company. So it's the standard. It's not going anywhere. Okay. And so now leading to our fourth trend, which is e-commerce packaging gets a glow up. And so unboxing is no longer just the moment, it is the moment. And so as we're looking at e-commerce packaging that's incorporating eco-friendly, durable, return-ready designs and packaging that delights customers is something that is essential. So some of the key elements we're seeing around e-commerce packaging, I hinted a little bit about the materials and durability, but also making boxes easy to open and also serve as storage to help to not add to the waste of having a box in a box. And, and so with that, that is something that, a lot of businesses are reassessing to help one, reduce the carbon footprint. Secondly, to help reduce the cost, but also seeing how it can be more of an impact to the consumer, the end user, once they receive the products. So a lot of times, I'm asking the brands, like, what is your strategy? Or do you offer returns, for your products? Are you a subscription box program? Who is procuring your boxes? Is it your fulfillment company? Is it you? Or is it a third party? What does that look like? How would this box be used once it's open? Does it intend to be used for storage or to be recycled? Like, I have boxes behind me that came from different things I'm receiving, as part of gifts and stuff for me expecting my first child. But I'm seeing how to repurpose my own boxes that I'm getting, so what does that look like? And such. And then also making sure that they are able to be recycled based upon the design that is on there. So I'm sharing these things not only from a consumer's lens, but also what I'm seeing within the industry and staying a student as well. So as I mentioned, like, a lot of influencers who really rely on unboxing experiences, especially like on TikTok, that's like one of the number one platforms that you see unboxing experiences in, from PR gifts to collaborations and more. TikTok not being available and potentially being banned in the US can have a critical impact on those users, on those brands and professionals alike on that platform. So if you do not have this in place, this is not part of the trend, but I'm just saying this, especially from a business owner lens. And so with this is also vital to show that you should have multiple forms of collecting money and creating your own ecosystem. And so while social media is great because that's where a lot of people go, if you do not have an ecosystem, your own ecosystem to help with funneling people from these external platforms to your platform, then it's going to be missed opportunities. And that's one thing that I had to learn as a business owner too. And that's why, with my podcast, prime example, I love doing the podcast. I love learning and listening to other industry professionals. I gain a lot of insight for this and I truly enjoy it. I feel like I have a personality for it and such because it's mine. But but as part of that, this is my ecosystem. And so when you come into the podcast, you probably found out about it through YouTube, which is a social media platform, or LinkedIn. But if those platforms were to shut down, or same for Instagram, same for Facebook, I have my own ecosystem, which my podcast is available, on my website. I can stream it live on my website. It's incorporated into the blogs. It's incorporated into my email list. So I have my own ecosystem that I've curated to still keep my viewers and listeners engaged. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way over time, and it's still being refined, but those just part of the lessons learned. And I just want to share that tidbit with everybody listening as well. So leading on to the fifth trend for packaging. And this one it's packaging and design a little bit, but we've also had the new Pantone color be released for the 2025 year, which is a beautiful mocha muse hue, which is a warm terracotta inspired shade that redefines the beauty aesthetics with its natural elegance. So it pairs perfectly with minimalistic design, and it also pairs well with sustainable materials. So a couple of things that we're going to be seeing that has the new Pantone color incorporated is, first, there is a collaboration with Pantone and Pura. So Pura is an actual fragrance company that will be launching a diffuser set in January 2025, where it's inspired by this new beautiful mocha muse color. Excuse me, mocha mousse. That's what I keep saying. Mocha mousse. Y'all excuse me. I'm pregnant at the time of this recording. Okay. So I get a little tongue twisted a little bit, but you understand what I'm saying. But the color for the year will be linked down in the show notes. Okay. But as part of that, it's really about blending the trend setting hues with unique accents. And so they'll be launching in January 2025 with this collaborative diffuser set. And then also, since I work in the beauty industry, I've launched products with this subscription box program, which is Ipsy. So they are going to be doing a collaboration with Pantone, incorporating the 2025 color of the year with limited edition products that are going to be featuring this year's shade. So this will be dropping in April, and I'm actually going to subscribe to it because I would love to see it and see some of the brands that are positioned on there and seeing the color actually be executed not only on packaging but also for the products and possibly some accessories. I can see some beautiful makeup brush accessories with this beautiful color as well. So I can't wait to see it. And so once I do receive those and they do this collaboration drop, I would definitely do my own unboxing on this podcast and talk through the elements as well for this. So, with that being shared, we're going to wrap up for today, just highlighting these top 5 trends. We do have more trends that are coming constantly. And some of these you may say, Megan, this doesn't seem like a new trend, and some of them are not new per se, but that means that they're continuation. That means that they're heavy in the conversation and in the rankings. If you go to Google and look up trends of packaging, you will see consistency with what I just mentioned on this podcast amongst other credible sites like Packaging World, Packaging Digest, Beauty Packaging, and other credible sources. So these are trends that are still evolving, and that's what I like to call it. They're still evolving. And as part of that, we have to continuously evolve with the trends, especially what consumers are looking for. When you have 78% of consumers who are invested into purchasing a brand based upon their sustainability initiatives and the impact that they're making, that is huge. That's a large percentage of consumers, and a lot of it is driven based upon that. And you do have some government regulations, that is having this implementation as well. But we also are trying to see how to work smarter in the industry and the infrastructure that needs to be in place and have the collaboration. Told y'all, tongue twisted, being pregnant. Have the collaboration with other team members and, various business sectors, to make sure that everything is cohesive and we're thinking through the full supply chain and thinking about the circular economy. So this is going to be something that we're going to be continuously refining, and these trends are not going to just end in 2025. Is part of the standard, like I talked about, with sustainability as the standard. These trends are going to be the standard for the industry, and we're going to have more standards that's going to come to market. So I cannot wait to share some of those things with you all in the upcoming episodes ahead. So make sure you do follow, like, and subscribe to all of our platforms, which you can access down in the show notes. And be sure to share this with your network because, as I mentioned, our net worth is based upon our network. So I'll see y'all on the next one.